Good morning. So we are doing Tehillim. I'm sorry about last week. I was just so lousy and I wasn't able to, but I'm feeling great
By
now.
the way,
So,
in case you
oh,
knew.
thank you. Thank you very much. Truth is, 2 weeks ago, I was also not at my best, but I somehow managed to give the shiur. But so we're still doing Tehillim. The past few pakim that we did, there was something very interesting about them. Particularly the last five Mizmorim. Did you notice something common? Good morning. We just started.
I may be 16 behind.
I'm sorry?
Might be 16.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Did anyone notice something common? The last five, yesterday's three Mizmorim and two of the Mizmorim of the day before yesterday. There was something common to all of them. What did you say? Yes. Right? They all open with the word michtam. So altogether, there are 6 Mizmorim that mention the word michtam at their opening. These 5, and another one that we saw a few weeks ago, Mizmor Tet Zayin. I think it's Tet Zayin. And the question is, what does that mean? So it's one of those words at the opening of Tehillim that we don't know what they mean, because there are lots of such words, right? So generally the openings of Tehillim, what they mean when we say, right, some of the Mizmorim start with Shiur Mizmor. What does Shiur mean? What does Mizmor mean? What does Lamnatseach mean? What does Al HaNeginot or Tfilah or Shigayon or Maskil, right? All kinds of words. Well, what do they mean? We don't really know. The different mefarshim say different things, but there is not a clear understanding of what they actually mean. Lamnatseach is the most common one. So many Mizmorim start with the word Lamnatseach. Usually it is translated, how is it translated? To the conductor. In modern Hebrew, the Menatzech is a conductor, but is that really what it means? Could be, but we're not sure. No one's sure. So if it means to the conductor, then what does it say about the Mizmor? So it starts with the word Lamnatseach. Lamnatseach, what? So it's going to give instructions to the conductor, or is it saying that this Mizmor is sung in a sophisticated way, and therefore a conductor is required? Because usually after Lamnatseach come other words. So sometimes, but sometimes not. So when there aren't other words, what does it mean? So it's also not so clear. So the general understanding is that when it says Lamnatseach and then something, it is words to the conductor. So let's say 2 days ago we saw Lamnatseach bin ginot maskil leDavid. So bin ginot means something. Oh, but what does it mean? We don't know. So neginot comes from the word, right? We know what nigun means, right? We know that David was menagen. Lenagen is to play some instrument. So maybe that's what it means. Lamnatseach, this is accompanied with neginot. It could be that neginot was a particular instrument.
Does nigun mean tune, or that's not the proper term?
So in modern Hebrew, nigun means tune. Whether that in Tanakh that is its meaning, it has something to do with, right? Nagnu benevel asol zamrulo. Now nevel, we know we're quite sure that it's an instrument. So lenagen benevel probably means to play, but maybe it means to have the tune according to the nevel, and then nigun maybe does mean as it is in modern Hebrew. Maybe. But in any case, so, and the word maskil, what does that mean? Maskil, it's also not so clear. What does that mean? So usually we say that there are a few matters that are mentioned at the opening of some Mizmorim. Some Mizmorim have no openings, right? Some Mizmorim just it just starts with the Mizmor itself. But most of the Mizmorim do have openings, but the openings are not are not all uniform. Uniform? They're not the same. There's some that they start with what it is. There is sort of it tells us what it is. Maybe it's a tefillah, maybe it's a mizmor, maybe it's a. But what is the difference between tefillah, tehillah, and mizmor? So most of them are mizmorim. So we'll say something about it in a minute. But it says something about what it is. Then it gives us a name. The name could be the one who composed the mizmor, the one who wrote it, the one who did something to it, right? So, for instance, mizmor leDavid. Okay, or Tfilah leMoshe, or Lamnatseach Lamnatseach is Lamnatseach Livnei Korach, Mizmor. Oh, Mizmor comes after. Okay, then there is something maybe about the way to play it. Bin Ginot al Hashminit. Also, some say that Hashminit is also something that you play. Maybe other things, and then perhaps the time or the place, the opportunity where you sing it. For instance, Mizmor leYom Shabbat, or leTodah, when you bring a Korban Todah, or all kinds of things like that. So all of these things are at the opening, but it won't always have everything. So what are the things that it would have? So it could have the author or something like that, sort of the author. It could have the general name that this is called, Tfilah, Mizmor, Tehillim, and we have to understand what that means. It could, the way it is sung, Neginot, Shminit, whatever, or Shiur maybe, okay? And then the place or opportunity where it is said. These are the 4 things that are usually at the openings. But then we have also Tehillim that are a bit complicated. So, for instance, if we jump to Mizmor Peichet, because it's an interesting one, in Mizmor Peichet, we have somewhat of a complex opening. So it starts like this: Shir Mizmor Livnei Korach Lamnatseach Al Machalat Le'anot Maskil Lehiman HaEzrachi. Okay, that's the opening of the.
They got everything in.
Yeah. So what does it mean? So let's say it is Shir Mizmor is telling me maybe what it is. Okay, so it's also a Mizmor and also a Shir. So we have to understand the difference between. So Shir, we know from other psukim, right? Shiru lo, zamru lo. Oh, so both Shir Mizmor, right? So sometimes you are Shir and sometimes you are Mezamer. But what is the difference between Lashir and Mezamer? In modern Hebrew, I don't know if there is a difference between the two, but maybe here, there. Okay, so this is also a Shir and also a Mizmor. We have to, okay, Livnei Korach. So Bnei Korach are, so they could be the authors, they could be the ones the performers. It's not too clear. Bnei Korach are Leviim, right? Korach was a Levi, so Bnei Korach are Leviim. We know that Leviim sung in Beit HaMikdash, so maybe some of the Leviim also composed some of the songs, but maybe it means that they perform these songs, they sing them. Okay, Lamnatseach, so we said maybe it means the conductor. And then what do we tell the conductor? Al machalat le'anot. It's not clear what machalat le'anot means. So some Mefarshim say it means it's sort of like we said before about the shminit, about the negina. It's some sort of instrument. Machalat le'anot, maybe when Yoshua and Moshe are having their discussion, when Moshe comes down with the tablets, then Yoshua tells Moshe, Kol milchama b'machane. He thinks that Yoshua meets him halfway, right? So Yoshua is not down in the camp. He doesn't know what's going on there. And they're dancing around the Egel. And Yoshua tells Moshe, I don't know, Kol milchama b'machane. I hear a battle there. And Moshe says, no. Lo kol anot gvura v'lo kol anot chalusha, kol anot anochi shomea. I don't hear triumph shouts. I don't hear the sound of people that are losing. but kol anot, general anot, I hear. So anot is a sound of a crowd. So maybe that's what it means, that a big crowd sings it. It's anot. Or we know that also la'anot also means to answer. So maybe it has to do with that. Okay, maybe it's the way it's sung. And then maskil. Okay, what does that maskil? So we have maskil. So maskil David biyoto b'me'arat tefillah. That's a very well known mizmor that we know. But then lehiman ha'ezrachi. So just a minute. We said before shir mizmor livnei korach. Now we're saying maskil lehiman ha'ezrachi. So is this a shir, a mizmor, or a maskil? Or is it all three? And if it's all three, what does that mean? And is it livnei korach or lehiman ha'ezrachi? So that's a problem. So what do you think? What do you think?
It was probably written by B'nai Korach for.
Very good, very good. So you say, well, what do you mean? We all see, right? When a movie stars, either at the beginning or at the end, right? You have you have the credits. So the credits are given to different people for doing it, right? So someone wrote the script, someone did the music, someone did so this could mean here as well that shir mizmor maybe is the music, and maskil, right? Right. So when we maybe lahaskil means to do something with our mind. So or with our, maybe that more has to do with the writing of with the concept, the idea, maybe the writing the word.
Maskil is always used with something that teaches a lesson to somebody. So
that's in modern Hebrew, but
it
could be no, but it's good because it could be that that's where it came from. Maybe that's where it came from. So it could be that the mangina, the song, is is by B'nai Korach, and maskil, the actual writing, so some today, when I don't know this today, right? Today there's just so, but when you have credits on songs, right? So you have, in Hebrew you say lachan, and lachan, how do you say lachan? Music, right? Music by B'nai Korach, and lyrics by, so maskil is lyrics by Heiman ha'ezrachi. Maybe that's what it means. Or maybe B'nai Korach are the performers. So shir mizmor livnei korach, this is a mizmor that for B'nai Korach to perform. Maskil, the one who wrote it, or something like that, is the author is Heiman ha'ezrachi. Something that's another possibility. Another possibility is who is Heiman ha'ezrachi? Do you know? Where do we know him from?
I mean, he's one of the people that sang in the Beis Hamikdash.
Yeah, he's one of the people that sang in the Beit HaMikdash, mentioned in Divrei Hayamim, and a Levi, descendant of Korach. So when it says Shir Mizmor Livnei Korach, then one of Bnei Korach is Heiman ha'ezrachi. So it could be that it's telling us generally this is Bnei Korach, particularly Heiman ha'ezrachi, something like that. Or maybe all possibilities are true, meaning it's telling us
none of the above, or all of the above.
Yeah, I mean, Shir Mizmor, it's conducted by Bnei Korach, and they also authored it, and particularly Heiman ha'ezrachi did, and he did. Okay, or maybe it's to them. Okay. So I just wanted to look particularly at this Mizmor because it is a complex one. It gives us a more a good understanding of what we don't understand at the openings of Tehillim.
The confusion doesn't help.
Sorry?
It doesn't clarify the confusion.
No, it doesn't clarify, but it just comes to. But you see that when the Tehillim are put together, so Rav Sadia Gaon says that all the Tehillim were put together by David, even Tehillim that we know were said later, even like Tfilah LeMoshe, it's a Tehillim that was sung by David ben Nevuah, that it says LeMoshe because the Levim were sons of Moshe, but also B'nevuah, he was told that it could be that Moshe said it, but it wasn't transmitted by Moshe David.
I know he says it. Why?
Good question. That's Rav Sadia Gaon, but most of the Mefarshim say no, that's not what it means. David put together most of the Mizmorim, and perhaps also even put together the book itself. And actually, all of these Bnei Koach, Asaf, Heiman, Yedutun, we know them because in Divrei Yamim they are mentioned, and they were all meshorerim, singers, during the time of David. So it very well could be that David, that they worked for David, that David commissioned them, and part of the putting together of Tehillim was, so some of the Psalms, the Mizmorim, David HaMelech writes, and some they write. By the way, I can't help myself but saying, because we're always talking about Mizmorim, it's very interesting because the why do we call the Mizmorim? Like in all other books of Tanakh, we call the chapters Prakim, but here we call them Mizmorim. So first of all, we have to understand that Mizmorim and Prakim, although they are there is a connection between them, the Prakim, the chapters in the other books other than Tehillim, are not a Jewish thing. It has no kedusha, it has nothing to do with tradition. It's a Christian monk who basically did all these chapters, and when the Tanakh was first printed, it was printed according to these chapters, and it became widespread that we use these chapters. But it's not connected to any Jewish tradition. It's according to understanding of that monk, that sometimes maybe he had a good understanding of Tanakh, so sometimes it makes a lot of sense. Sometimes we could suggest other partitions other than these pakim. But when it comes into Tehillim are Mizmorim, meaning each Mizmo is its own thing, not only because of this monk. When the monk came in and suggested chapters for Tehillim, he said, well, what's the best way of putting it together? Each Mizmo will be its own perek. Okay, so that's how it happened. Although it's not that we have 150 capitals, Mizmorim, right? And in Gemara, I think it says there are 147. So how there? So a few of our capitals that we have them divided into two. In the Gemara, in other parts, it's not necessarily. So we don't know how exactly the Gemara did it, but we have ancient manuscripts that have some of them together, some of them divided somewhat differently, but more or less 150, and more or less the same divisions we find everywhere. But the point I want to make is this: we call them Mizmorim. Why do we call them Mizmorim? Because that is the most common opening. The most common opening of all the Psalms is Mizmor.
Well, why can't we just say
Mizmor LeDavid? Sorry?
We sang them, so why wouldn't they be called Mizmor?
Well, we could call them tefillot. We could call them.
I'm just saying but they were done in a song. That's why.
Right. But I think because it is also referred to as Mizmorim, right? Mizmor LaAsaf, Mizmor LeDavid. Because, I mean, we could have called them maskilim. We could have called them tefillot. Because let's say at the end, if you look at the end of Ayin, is it Ayin Gimel? Where is it? Kalut Tefillot David ben Yishai. No, it's not Ayin Gimel. Do you remember where? Ayin Bet. Yeah, the end of Ayin Bet. So, וברוך שם כבודו לעולם, וימלא כבודו את כל הארץ אמן ואמן, כלו תפילות דוד בן ישי. We have the last pasuk in Mizmor Ayin Bet, right? So it's probably referring to all the Mizmorim that we said, and it says now, but it calls them tefillot, kalut tefillot. So in the same sense, we could have called them tefillot. We didn't have to call them mizmorim, but most of them open with the word mizmor. It's interesting. I'm just pointing out that we'll maybe next week we'll talk about it, because this is part of. No, I think next week we'll do this. Mizmor Ein Bet. Kalut Tfilot David ben Ishai is mentioned at the end of a mizmor that opens with Lishlomo Elokim mishpatecha lemelech ten v'tzidkatcha leven melech. So it gives us mizmor that are written by David, and then at the end of a mizmor that is written by Shlomo, it says Kalut Tfilot. But maybe there Lishlomo doesn't mean that Shlomo wrote it. Maybe it means something else. And I'm just pointing it out, right?
He could have only while his father was still alive.
Exactly. It could be that David commissioned his son to write it, or maybe it was written in honor of Shlomo, that this mizmor, right? We spoke last time about that Le David could mean was written by David, or it could mean in honor or for the sake of David, like Mizmor leYom HaShabbat, right? It's not written by Yom HaShabbat, it's written for Yom HaShabbat. Okay, so it could be that Lishlomo, David is praying to Hashem, Elokim, ten mishpatcha lemelech, ten tzidkatcha leven melech. He's praying on his son. Okay, but then Kalut Tfilot. Okay, but the point I'm getting at, I'm going all over because there's so much to say here. But the point I'm getting at is this: we call them Mizmorim. Very interesting. So what should we call the book? Mizmorim, right? We have many Mizmorim. Each one is a Mizmor, and the book itself is called Sefer Mizmorim. But we don't call it Sefer Mizmorim. Right? Why not? We call it Tehillim. Where did that come from? So Tehillim, we have a Tehillah le David, but only one Tehillah, right? We have one Mizmor opening with the word Tehillah. Now, many of them have to do with Hallelu, right? Hallelujah and Lehalel, Shabbat. It's one of the things that we. So it's interesting because we usually we would say, when we say plural of Tehillah is Tehilot, not Tehillim. Here it's Tehillim. And why do we call it Tehillim and not Mizmorim?
You're gonna tell us, right?
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're
I'm
not?
just asking a question. Very interesting question.
Okay.
Yeah. There are suggested answers, but we won't get into it right now because it would take us to so many other places. But why is it Tehillim and not Tehilot? I'll just say that it could be that when we actually, the praise itself is Tehillah, and when we sing a lot of praises, then it's Tehilot. But the actual chapters of the Tehillah, but the written Tehillah, when we say those, not when we say those, when we refer to them, to the written many Tehilot, maybe they're Tehillim. The written text is Tehillim, and maybe the performance of it is Tehilot, maybe something like that. Okay. But let's get back to what I'm talking about. So I just wanted to point out that it's interesting, the Mizmorim and Tehillim, right? Okay. Because how do we call it in English or in other Psalms? So what did that come from? It comes from the Greek translation of songs or of some sort, is called of songs that you play. I think that you accompany with play. I think in Greek it means something like palsio or something. So that's where it comes from. And I read somewhere, I don't remember where, that the word psanter in Hebrew comes from the same, has to do with that somehow. Okay. So let's get back to Michtam. What is Michtam? Okay, so it could be that it
means song sung to a harp.
Oh, that's psalm.
Psalm, which is pronounced with a silent P, who knew? Comes from the Greek word psalmos, song sung to a harp, and its root, salain, play a stringed instrument. While they're not often backed by a harp these days, psalms are frequently sung with musical accompaniment in strange places called churches and temples.
There you go. No
Once a
synagogue?
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Would be without it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Ah, very good. So coming back to the michtam, what is the michtam? So in the Greek translation, it is translated as, I'm not sure how you would pronounce it in English. Is it staliograph? I think that's the in the Hebrew writing of the Greek, it's styliographia. So probably in the English writing, it would be staliograph or something like that, which means to say written words, written words. So it could be that michtam, and maybe comes from the word, maybe it means something that was engraved somewhere, something that was engraved somewhere. And this might be, it works well also with Chazal in the Midrash. Read Michtam as Ketem Paz, and both Rashi and Ibn Ezra bring this when they refer to the word Michtam. It could be Ketem in Tanakh means what? In modern Hebrew, Ketem
Stain.
means stain, but in Tanakh, what it means? Okay, so we all know the pasuk in Eicha, right? Eicha yu'am zahav, yishne haketem hatov. So it's referring to gold that faded, right? Eicha yu'am zahav, the gold faded. Yishne haketem hatov, and it's how do you say makbilah? Like in
Parallel.
right? In the poems in Tanakh, many of them work on, most of them, almost all of them work on parallels. You say the same thing twice in two different ways. So Yu'am Zahav, Yishne Ketem Atov means the same thing, which means the gold had faded. It's referring to Yerushalayim, that was the golden city, and now it had faded away, or the color was taken away. Ketem comes from the word katom, orange, which is similar to the word of to gold. So michtam is from the word gold. So these are the golden poems. So says Rashi and Ibn Ezra, the golden poems of David, meaning the crown jewel poems, psalms of David. So there is something special about these that make them very, very special. But then the question is, what makes it so special? Rashi also says that maybe it is something similar to the motto of David. Like these are his, like he wrote many songs, but these are the songs that he's known by. Okay? So then the question is, what is so special about these songs that David is known by, or that they're considered gold? What do you say? So I read them again and again, trying to understand what's going on. And let's look at them for a minute and try to understand what they're actually saying. So the first one, Nun Vav, starts with Lam Natseach, okay, to the conductor, let's say, Al Yonat Elem Rechokim. So most of the Mefarshim that even refer to this say, could be maybe it means some sort of instrument. Yonat Elem Rechokim. Okay, maybe it's an instrument. Le David, okay, so David is the author maybe. Michtam, okay, so Michtam is what we're wanting to find out what it means. Then Be'echozoto Plishtim Begat. So what is this referring to? This is probably saying, when did David write this song, or to what episode in his life this poem, song, psalm is referring to the episode where Plishtim held him in Gat. So we know that when that was when David was running away from Shaul. He finds himself in Gat, and then
Crazy man.
Yes, right. So at first he makes as if he's the friend of the Plishtim, and then they find out that maybe he's not, and then they capture him, and then he does as if he's Meshuga. Okay, so all of that is happening there, and that is when this song is written. And then we have a song or a poem, It's not so clear what is the exact, I mean, there's not an exact I mean, there aren't words here that we could say, here we know it's referring to that because of that, but generally it could very well be a song. It's he's singing about being in distress and praying to Hashem that will save him, and his enemies want to kill him, and Hashem, okay, and then he's crying, and Hashem will eventually save him. Okay, so that's this one. Then the other one, Lam Natseach. Okay, this is a bit more difficult, the opening. Lam Natseach al Tashchet. We have this Nun Zayin and Nun Chet, both open with Lam Natseach al Tashchet. What does that mean, al Tashchet? So in Hebrew, it means don't destroy. I mean, so we're giving instructions to the conductor, don't destroy this. So what does that mean? So some Mefarshim explain that it could be that there was a tune of a song called Al Tashchet. Steinsaltz writes it, following some of the Mefarshim, and it's instructions to the conductor that the tune used for this song should be the tune for Al Tashchet. Okay, LeDavid Michtam. So again, Michtam, we're trying to figure out what that means. Now this was written Bevocho Mipnei Shaul B'Me'ara. So it's around the same time, because still both of them are during his life period when he's running away from Shaul. This is when he is hiding in the cave. We remember that from reading that, right? So now Choneni Hashem Choneni, and now again he's praying to Hashem, asking him for to save him. But then the ending of the Mizmor from Pasuk Yud is a bit strange, because Odcha ba'amim Hashem azamecha ba'leumim ki gadol al shamayim chazecha v'ashkevim alecha ruma al shamayim v'ogim al kol haaretz kodecha, because he starts, he's talking about him, and then I'll go to the nations and I'll sing to them. Why go to them? Okay, so that's a question. I'll refer to it soon. And then the next Nun Chet again opens. Lam Natseach al Tashchet LeDavid Michtam. Here it doesn't tell us the time when it is done, but again he is talking here to violent people and saying that you shouldn't be violent, and that Hashem will eventually pay everyone according to their deeds, and even though people don't do mishpat, Hashem eventually does mishpat. Okay, and then again, Lam Natseach al Tashchet LeDavid Michtam. In this point, Bishloach Shaul, it's again going back to Shaul. Vayishmeru et habayit la'amito. That is when Shaul comes and they stand around the house waiting for the morning, and in the morning they'll come in and kill David. Michal notices it and he jumps out of the window and runs away. So during that time he said this Mizmor. Okay, again asking Hashem to save him, and then thanking Hashem for saving him. Then Mizmor Samech is Lam Natseach al Shushan Eidut. Maybe also Shushan Eidut is instructions to the conductor, what instrument, how to sing it. Okay, Michtam. This is also Michtam. We'll have to understand what it means and why. LeDavid Lelamed. Okay, Lelamed usually means to teach. Here maybe it means something around a way of singing or something like that. Okay. בעצותו את ארם נהריים ואת ארם צובה, וישוב יואב ויח את אדום בגיא מלח 12 So it gives us the episode when this song was written, or to what episode it is relating. It is when we read about this battle as well, Yoav is fighting Edom, and now in Sefer Shmuel, that battle is written as a very successful battle, and Yoav really manages to annihilate the army of Edom, and it's wonderful. But look at the Mizmor here. Elokim nachtanu, patztanu, anafta, teshovev, meaning he is complaining to Hashem. You have left us. And then it continues that way. And then towards the end, Mi yovileni ir matzom, mi nachani ad Edom. Who will take me to there? Halo ata Elohim znachtanu, velo tetzeh Elohim b'tzivotenu. Hashem, you left us, and you're not with us anymore with our armies. So what's going on here? So the Ibn Ezra explains that this Mizmor is said amidst the battle, meaning, yes, at the end, there was a victory, but the battle itself was very difficult, and at some point, David looks at Hashem and says, Hashem, you have forsaken us, you left us, and then Belokim nasecha, and then at the end, and indeed, at the end, there was success.
I don't remember the history from the Shmuel. They won the battle. What was the aftermath of the battle? Was everything still good? Had they won the war, if you're with me?
Yes,
I don't know what happened after
yes,
that.
I think there it was good. The outcome was good.
Okay.
But now my question is, what is the theme of all of these Mizmorim? What makes all of these Mizmorim like the crown of the, right? Rashi talks about Keter, the crown of the Mizmorim of David. What's so special about them? It's like many other Mizmorim that we read, right? David is in distress. He turns to Hashem, please help me. And Hashem indeed helps him at the end, or doesn't always tell us about it, but we know that he did. Okay, so what's so special about these particular Mizmorim? So in order to try and figure that out, I want to go back to the first Mizmor Tet Zayin, that first has the word Michtam, and try and figure out what's special there, and then see if we could say the same, if we could see the same theme in these Mizmorim. So in Mizmor Tet Zayin, going back to Mizmor Tet Zayin, that is a well-known Mizmor because we say that in funerals, in Batei Evel, on a day that we don't say Tachnun. נכתב לדוד שומרני כל כי חסיתי בך, אמרת להשם השם אתה טובתי בא עליך לקדושים אשר בארץ המה ואדירי כל חפץ צבאם, ירבו עצבותם אחר מהר ובא לשיח לישראל מדם ומעל לשא את שמותם על שפתי. Is this familiar? It's familiar. You don't go enough to funerals. You should go to more funerals. Okay. Okay. What's this Mizmor all about? What is this about? So here I need that Micha to help me because it's a very difficult Mizmor, right? So Michtam leDavid. So this is a Michtam. Let's try and figure out what makes it a Michtam. Shomreni el ki chasidi bach. Okay, guard me Hashem because I am. How do you say chasiti? I'm in your shadow. I'm coming. I see myself as being under your. Amart laHashem, Hashem ata tovati bal alecha. Okay, well, what's this meaning? Amart laHashem. So he's speaking to someone who said something laHashem. Hashem ata tovati bal alecha. Likdoshim asher ba'aretz hema, those who are sacred in the land, ve'adirei kol cheftzivam, and something adirim, or great, all I want is in them. Yirbu atzvotam acher maharu bal asich. What is this? What's the meaning of this? So the way almost all the mefarshim are explain it is like this. David turns to Hashem and says, Shomreini El, ki chasiti bach. Look after me, El. What is El? God. Okay. But is it a particular God? Also, a pagan could turn to and say, look after me, God, right? You have to say what God you mean if you want to. So then, David, so to speak, turns to his neshama that is yearning to God and says, Amart la Hashem Hashem ata. When you said El, you meant Hashem. And you said Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, you are my master, Tovati bal alecha. Meaning, my goodness cannot be without you, something like that. Meaning, whatever I ask eventually comes from you. Likdoshim asher ba'aretz hema v'adirei kol cheftzivam, all those that are holy but here down on the ground, and the great things that I yearn, yirbu atzvotam acher maharu balasich nischeihem idam, then eventually they all fade away and go away, and whatever libations I give them is like blood, or that I shouldn't I shouldn't libate to them from my blood, something like that. I mustn't utter their names. So he's referring here to, but rather not their names, but Hashem enat chelki v'chosi, ata tomech gorali. Hashem, you are my portion and my full cup, meaning my sense of the one who fills my cup, who gives me everything that I need. Ata tomech gorali, you are the one who supports my fate. Who yes, chavalim naflu li b'neimim, af nachala shafara, avarech et Hashem asher yatzani. Okay. So shiviti Hashem lenegdi tamim, ki mimini b'alemot. I look after you, Hashem. So what is this Mizmo all about? What is it all about?
Telling God, remember me because I'm on your side. I mean, you're on my side.
A bit, but he's saying not this, but this.
Well, he needs racham, and he needs not hail the
No,
judgment.
look at this. He says, "Likdoshim asher ba'aretz v'adirei v'adirei kol cheftzivam." All of those great things that are down here on earth, these great powers, I'm not worshiping them. I'm not giving them from my blood. I'm not even uttering their names, but rather Hashem enat chelki. You are my portion. You are the one who takes care of me. Ata tomech gorali. Yes, and then avarech et Hashem. Shiviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. I think this is all about when a person is living in this world. We think that certain things in this world will help us. And these are the false gods, right? All kinds of things that it could be money, it could be other, even higher satisfaction. Maybe I'm looking after this, I'm looking after that, power, kavod, tava, or maybe even great things. I go and I meditate somewhere and reach nirvana of some sort. I have all kinds of things that I think that they are like the source of, they'll give me power, they'll give false gods, right? And this is what David is saying to Hashem. Hashem, at the end of the day, you are the one, Hashem. All of these, they have the power from you. So instead of running after things that I think they're the ultimate good, I go straight to you. Hashem, you are the ultimate good. So in other words, this Mizmo is a form of Kriyat Shema, so to speak, right? Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. There are lots of good things in this world, and there are lots of wonderful things in this world, each wonderful in its own way and place, and they have their place and time. But ultimately, the source of everything is one, and that is Hashem. So my ultimate yearning, says David, is to Yud Kei Vav Kei, not to a any El, not to any god that also the pagans can call God. The pagans can call their silver god, their gold, they could go. I call only Hashem, is because everything comes from him. And I think if we look at that as the archetype of the Michtamim, I think the other Michtamim, we find similar themes in them. We don't have time to go through all of them, so I'll just take the one and allow you to continue the rest, maybe two. Let's see how many we're able to do, and see how it works. So let's see Nun Hey and Nun Vav.
They were personal enemies.
Right.
Not-
They were personal, but look at here. So Bechozoto Plishtim Begat. Plishtim are holding on David and Gad. And then he says, Choneini Elokim ki she'afani enosh, kol hayom lochem ilchatzeni. Sha'afu shorerai kol hayom, ki rabim lochamim li marom. Yom ira, ani elecha evtach. באלוהים מעלה דברו, באלוהים בטחתי לו יראה, מה יעשה בשר לי? כל היום דברי יעצבו עליי, כל מחשבותם לרע. יגורו, יצפונו המה עקיבה ישמעו כאשר כיוו נפשם. על אבן פלט למו באף עמים הורד אלוהים. נודי ספרת אתה, שימה דמעתי בנודיך, לא בספרתך. אז ישוב אויבי אחור ביום אקרא, זה ידעתי כי אלוהים לי. באלוהים אהלל דבר, בהשם אהלל דבר. Okay. Here I want to stop for a minute. So all the Mizmor, he's crying to Elokim. Elokim, 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 Elokim. Now, Elokim, we know, could be Elokim, but it could be Elohim, right? We don't know. So here, when he started in Tetzain, right? That's what he said. He says, Shomreini El ki chasiti vach. And then he turns to himself. That's how the Mefarshim explain. Amart, you said El, but you meant Yud Kei Vav Kei La Hashem. Hashem ata, you are my master. Tovati balalecha. And here he is crying to Elokim, Elokim, Elokim. And then beElokim ahalel davar, beYud Kei Vav Kei ahalel davar. Then he explains, when I say Elokim, I mean Yud Kei Vav Kei. And I think this is the theme that is taken from Tetzain as well. He is in distress, and everyone in distress turns to a higher power. That's not a chokhmah, right? What's that in Hebrew? You say bashuchot en atheistim.
No atheist in a foxhole.
Yes, no atheist in a foxhole. So I think, okay, so David is in a foxhole, so he's turning to a higher power. But a higher power could be also a middle power. It could be one of the many avodot zarot that believe. So he starts crying, and then in the middle he says, just a minute, when I say Elohim, you have to understand, I'm calling to you, Hashem. I'm calling to you, Hashem. In order to understand why this is so important, it's also important to understand what it meant of Dei Avodah Zarah. Those, we think that paganism makes no sense. It's so stupid, right? But it makes a lot of sense to a person who lives in the ancient world, who wants rain. So of course, what I need to do is to please the power that brings rain. That's what I need to please, nothing else. And if I'm in battle, then I need to please the power, I need to make that there is something in the world that helps people win war, and I need to please that something to have it turn to me and somehow help me, right? So it's turning to, and whatever it is. So David is in distress, and then he says, okay, so I turn to Hashem when I'm in distress, to a power that can help me. Okay, makes perfect sense. But that is not what turns that into a special connection to Hashem. He says, no, I'm not turning just to the power. I understand that everything comes from you, Hashem, ultimately. And that's why I'm turning to you. When I say Elohim, in Tanakh, right, Elohim are also Shoftim. Elohim is something with power. So first of all, he turns to whatever power can help me. But he says, no. When I say whatever power could help me, I mean something particular. I mean the source of all powers. I mean Yud Kei Vav Kei. And if you look in the other Mizmorim, you'll see that is a theme in all the. And it could be that's why these are the michtam. This is the goal of all of David's songs, because like the Shema Yisrael is the michtam of the entire Torah, right? Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. That is the cry of every Jew. This is the cry of David. So that's what I wanted to say today. And Yom Tov.
One day when Mashiach comes,